here are signs that your visa interview is going well. And I'm just putting out this video just to boost your confidence, because if you can see these things happening, then it just means that you should bring your double A game, just so that you can impress the visa officer further. And I think the first thing, like any other thing, would be body language. It would be the body language of the interviewer. You would find that they are interested in hearing you out, and you would find that your interview is conversational. Now, there are people who attend, because I know most times, particularly if you're attending the US visa interview, that environment is usually very tensed, and you might not even get the chance to get a word in, or maybe you're trying to say something and you might find that they're cutting you off, very often. Now, the signs that your visa interview is going well is that you would find that the visa officer would be particularly interested in what you have to say. And then you would find this in their body language. I'll give you a typical example of my first US visa interview. Now, what happened was that the lady involved was denying everyone in front of me. And it was so tense that, you just had to wait for them to call your number and then you show up. And so you could see everyone being scared that they didn't want to go in front of that lady because she wasn't giving any issuing visas to anyone. And then the next night I had my number and I had to go face her. And the moment I got there, of course, I was tensed, and then I just smiled, I told her good morning and I smiled. She didn't respond with a smile, but I noticed she just looked at me and then she just went back on the system. And then she requested for my passport, which I gave to her. And then she looked again and said, "Why do you want to visit the United States?" And I looked at her and then I said, "I want to go on vacation to New York at the time." And then she, just goes back to the system again and says, "So what do you do?" I'm like, "I'm a lawyer and I do work with a law firm." And then she said, "Okay, where did you work before then?" I'm like, "I worked with another law firm before then." And then she looked at me. "Have you traveled out of the country before?" And then I said, "Oh yeah, I'm actually a frequent traveler." And then she just paused and looked at me. "Okay, so where have you been?" And that time, you could see she started smiling. And then I started naming all the places I had been. And then along the line, she just started nodding. She left me alone to just keep talking. She started nodding. She went on the system. She just, looked at me and then she now said, "Okay, are you married or are you single? Are you married?" And then I looked at her and I said, "Not yet." And then she smiled and said, "Okay, but you're engaged." And I said, "Yes." And then she just said, "Okay." She just went back to her system and then she came back. "Well, I'm happy to tell you that your visa application has been approved." And then I'm like, "Yeah!" And then she just looked at me and smiled. This was a lady that wasn't smiling, She just looked at me and then like, "Okay, this one." She just smiled. And then she said, "Okay, your passport will be ready, within 5 working days or something like that." And then I'm like, "Okay, so you have a nice day." And I left. If your interview is going well, you would find that it would be conversational. The interviewer would be interested in hearing what you have to say. They would hardly cut you short, and they would be interested in asking you questions that would make you speak. You would find that maybe they will be nodding to some of the things that you're saying. They might agree with, meaning that they agree with it. And maybe, or just maybe, they might smile, very every now and then. So those are signs that your visa interview is going well, so that you don't mess it up. This is just to help you, build your confidence when you are attending. It doesn't mean that if these things don't happen, that it's not going well. There's some people that come to work angry. And so they would give you a visa, but with a frown. Either way they're giving you, whether they're smiling or frowning, at least they're giving you. And another indication would be that they're making eye contact with you, because you find that most visa interviewers don't even bother looking at you. Like, they'll just probably just be on the system and then they'll be talking. But if you see that they're more interested in maybe looking at you and having a conversation, then you know that you are already, yours is going well. Now, I would recall when I applied to Brazil, and then I think I had waited for 1 month. I did not get my passport. I didn't hear from the embassy. And I had a trip planned. I had to be in the US, because I applied for the visa and said I was going to Brazil from the US. And then my visa was not out, and then I needed my passport because I was traveling that week, which I declared in my application. So I went to the embassy and I'm like, okay, if you're not going to give me the visa, give me my passport. I need to go. And then they now invited me for an interview with the consular general. He was a nice young guy, I went to his office, and then initially, because he heard, I was kind of requesting, I was, furious in terms of, okay, I wanted my passport. If they're not going to, he's like, okay, I hope that you did not create a scene there. If I find out that you created a scene, I just want you to know that your visa will be denied. I'm like, oh, well, if you deny it, I'm going to go somewhere else. I would go somewhere else. And then he looked at me. So I sat down in his office, and then he now starts, asking questions, what I plan to do. And then he did ask if I was pregnant. Yes, because Brazil is known, for birth, tourism, they know that most females who go there think they want to go, give birth. So when he asked that question, I was kind of, startled. I looked at me and I'm like, okay, do I look pregnant? And then he's like, no. That it's because he explained to me why he asked that question, and I told him no, that I was not pregnant. And then I told him, the interview turned into a conversation. So he looked at my application and said, did you do this application yourself? And I'm like, yes. And he's like, I was very, very impressed with your visa application. That's what he told me. And then he now says, while I'm talking about the places I want to go, because I prepared that itinerary and I had done my research, and because I truly wanted to visit Brazil, I had a list of things that I wanted to do, and he was impressed that I was really interested in exploring. So he was not the one now suggesting to me like, okay, these are also places you should go. He was telling me about other places I had missed. Of course, then I knew that my visa application, was going to be approved, because this was Brazilian suggesting to me about the things, the consular general himself suggesting to me, the places that I should see when I eventually visit Brazil. And of course, what happened? My visa was granted, and I went ahead and visited Brazil, and I explored, and I loved it. So these are indications, that your visa application, is going well. So if you see any of these signs, that should build your self-confidence. It doesn't mean that if it's not happening, that you will not get it. Like I said, some people come to work angry, but I hope that this helps. This is just to help boost your confidence. So at every point in time, when you show up, you're not in diminishing, because someone is cold, just keep your charm, keep it on, turn on your charm at every point in time. And I wish you the best outcome. So my name is Otto Tom, and I hope that this was useful. If you liked it, click the like button and also share it with someone. Be the reason why someone smiles today. So thank you and bye.
Hi, my name is Otto Tom, and I'm happy to present to you my new book, Girls Don't Travel Just for Flowers. This book is more than just an adventure. It is a tribute to resilience, passion, and the boldness it takes to create a life that feels like your own. Now, I hope this book inspires you to find joy in your everyday, and to fiercely protect the happiness that you have created for yourself, no matter the circumstances. Because here's the truth. We are not here long enough to live unhappily. Now, to get a copy of this book, you can go to www.workaholic.com, where you can order a copy of Girls Don't Travel Just for Flowers.